Hey girl, hey, welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy to see you back here. So today we have a lot of new products to play with. The star of the show today is gonna be the Anastasia Beverly Hills and Amrezy palettes. I've also got new foundation and also new primers, plural, to try. I feel like I'm being really adventurous. That's just for you guys. Whenever I think about trying new primers, I always get a little bit nervous, but you know what? That's why this channel exists. So I can help you guys save coins and let you know if anything is bad here. So before we get started, if you happen to notice that you're not subscribed, girl, smash that subscribe button, okay? Join the family and ring the notification bell because I'd love to see you back here for my latest videos. Now, first things first, we're gonna get started on the eyes. So a little bit of skincare is gonna be going into this. I need to give my under eye area a boost. And I really like the Pixi Detoxifeye eye patches, and I'll show them to you in a second. They've got this really nice soothing gel texture to it, and it just delivers a lot of moisture to the eye area. So as you guys can see, got a lot of juice in it. I don't really know what's in it. They just say it's got, oh, here we go, hyaluronic acid and caffeine smooths and deep puffs the eye area, aiding in reducing dark circles. That's what I like to hear. So while this is marinating on my face, I'm gonna take the P. Louise base. This is in Rumor 5. And I'm using this because I really want my eyeshadow to like majorly pop today. And this is a really good base for that. It's like the color, like a little bit lighter than my skin, I would say. And I'm gonna use a flat brush and just pat that on. I did kind of go a little bit heavy today, but that's okay. Just spread it out. And I'm also gonna bring this a little bit higher up to almost my eyebrows and just cover this whole area. This little guy just wants to slide all the way off. Now, this little beauty sponge from Flower Beauty, I'm just gonna use this to press that in and kind of give this a more blended look here. This will crease if I look up because, you know, hooded eyes, that's life for me. So I will set the part where my eyes crease because, you know, it's necessary. All right, so I'm using just a little bit of setting powder and I'm going to pat that in the lower lid area. All right, look at that base. We are set up for success today. Okay, now the star of the show. The palette, right? She is a beauty. I feel like this is 100% Amrezy. When I look at this, it's just like glitz, glam, sparkle, and all of the shade names in here, as you guys can see, there's some really unique ones. They're very specific to her, parts about her, you know, things in her life. Like for example, Leo is her husband. Yugo stands for, I believe she said Yugoslavic or Yugoslavia, or it's like slang for Yugoslavia. So anyway, she's also got Semsa, which is the name of her mother. So it's a very like personal palette. You get the feeling that she really put a lot of herself into this. So let's think about what kind of colors, because there's so many different options here. And I know the blue is like really, really big, right? And it's gonna catch everybody else's attention. But I wanna go for something pink because it's a really big theme in this palette. I really love the colors Barb and Cupcake and Semsa and Reezy. So my goodness, so many choices. Let's start with transition. So I'm gonna dip into OG and New Yorker. Sorry, I gotta say it the way that the palette spells it, New Yorker.
That's right, I stepped up.
Dipping into both of these, they're actually really beautiful transition colors for deeper skin. So as you guys can see here, see how nice that brown is? It's almost similar to my skin shade, but a little bit slightly warmer. So I'm just going to put this all in that transition area and blend it out. And it's actually, wow, I didn't have to do much work.
Wow.
I like that. It's actually really, really nice and smooth. Like I said before, you don't really need to do too much to it. And always make sure, bring your transition shade down here because your eyeshadow look, at least I noticed for me, tends to look kind of incomplete if I don't bring it down to that inner corner. That was like effortless. I love that. Now I'm gonna go into Semsa right here, that deep pink, and I'm gonna pick a dense eyeshadow brush. You can pick something like this kind of shape right here, that little dome, and I'm going to dip it in, and I'm just going to concentrate it right here on this outer area and slightly bringing it up into the crease. And then I'm just going to take a blending brush, the same one I used before, and just blend out that transition area. And honestly, I'm really impressed with the pigmentation of Shemsa, however you say it, because honestly, I didn't really need too much, and it also diffuses out really, really nicely. Like, see, if I want to, I just tap it and it gets a lot more intense. It's actually really nice. The quality is like right up there with the Jackie Aina palette, so I feel like ABH just keeps getting better and better. Okay, so now it's time. I'm gonna cut the crease. Now, because I already have a heavier eye base and my eyes don't do well with like a lot of layering of creams on there, I'm just going to cut it with the colors. I'm not gonna put concealer over it and all that. I could, but I'm a little bit lazy. So the first color we're going in with is this hella sparkly one right here, Barb. I don't know if you can see, but it's like a really champagne-ish pink glittery color. Really, really unique. So I just tried to use a wet brush in it, and I didn't really pick up too much color. I picked up, I mean, a little bit, but I think this is best with some glitter glue. So I'm just gonna grab that. I'll be right back. All right, so we've got NYX glitter glue to the rescue. I'm just going to lay just a little bit on here and smooth it out on my hand. Now I'm going to carve this on here, and I'm gonna add the glue little by little, and I'm only going to add it to this area that I'll be applying it to. So as you can see here, it's like a nice cream colored glue, so it's easy for me to see, and just lay that base nice and even. Okay, so when it's tacky like that, it's ready to go. See, it's sticking really, really nicely now. Wow, that's actually really pretty. When you put it on, it looks more champagne instead of the pink, but that's all right, I still like it. Now I'm gonna go ahead and move to the shade Cupcake. Now I'm using a different flat brush, as you can see here, and I've wet my brush as well because I want it to go on more pigmented. Now I'm going to just dab it on here into that middle area. And the dabbing helps because it's gonna minimize fallout. So you don't need to swipe, just dab. And then when I've got less on my brush, I'm gonna bring it toward the color Barb and kind of blend them out. Now, if you have hooded eyes, this is really important. Occasionally you wanna look up or like your normal eye level instead of looking down or raising your eyebrows, because you wanna make sure that the colors come above your crease. Now I'm not going for something like too dramatic. I could bring it higher if I wanted to, but that's not what I'm about. But anyway, layering this is really, really easy. It's very pigmented, so it's not hard to get a lot of color on there. So now I'm gonna take Rezy, and I think I'm gonna like wing it out. That's what I'm feeling. So I'm taking a slanted brush, and I'm gonna use a slanted brush to create the shape of the wing. So now you guys see how I've got that shape there. I'm gonna go ahead and fill that in, and it's still with a wet brush. Okay, so my eyes are done. These lashes here are the ColourPop Baddie lashes, but I cut them just a little bit in the front so that they could fit my eye a little better. Now I'm gonna take off these little patches. They're like pretty dry now, but they're just really moisturizing. They have a little bit of that depuffing effect, but my eyes are not too puffy naturally, so maybe I'm not the best person to test that. Now, primers. We have 3 primers. So Laura Mercier came out with a bunch of goodies. The ones that I want to try, this is the Laura Mercier Blurring Primer, Pure Canvas Primer. Now, this one is also the Pure Canvas Primer, but it's the hydrating one, and this is the illuminating one. Now, you might be thinking, you have oily combination skin. Where's the mattifying primer? Well, the good thing about this one is that the blurring primer also mattifies. So I'm going to put that in my T-zone. I'm going to put the illuminating one in my cheek area, and around my mouth, like where my laugh lines are, tend to be the driest part of my face. And that's where I'm going to put the hydrating one. So the blurring is first. I have high hopes for these. The original, they have another set of primers that are okay, but they're not my favorite. So I'm really hoping that this delivers. I can definitely feel it mattifying my skin as I'm smoothing it on. So that's a good sign. And when I get around my nose area, I just kind of tend to like pat it in there. It is kind of a little bit hard to spread around the more you work with it. So I think patting it in is probably the best. Time for the illuminating one. I hope this doesn't make me look too crazy, but that's okay because we're gonna cover it up with foundation. And this is just gonna go right here. Also under the eyes, we need that area to be like bright and takes the dark circles away, hopefully, or distracts from it. And the hydrating one, like I told you guys before, doing it right around the mouth. Now I did notice some points. The illuminating primer kind of tends to like clump up. So I kind of don't like that. Like you can see kind of here, it's a little bit harder to blend. But I'm gonna use some of this hydrating primer to kind of like pat it in. I don't wanna rub it too much because I'm afraid it might pill. If you've ever tried the Tatcha primer, sometimes it does that when you combine it with other products. Okay, now we're ready for our foundation. So far, I think the primers are okay. I'm gonna kind of need to see what it looks like after the makeup is done to see if it really did its job. Okay. This foundation from Bite Beauty, it's called the Changemaker Supercharge Micellar Foundation. And I chose the color D60. Let me get the little box here. I'm hoping it's a mattifying one. Let's see, it's got a skin-like finish you crave with a clean formula. So if you're really into clean beauty, that's awesome. I don't know, it's probably not matte, but we'll see how it holds up on the skin. I don't know if you guys are like me, but when I go into Sephora, I have such a hard time shade matching. I like never really know how it's gonna turn out, but this one seemed like it was the least orange, so we'll see. Now I'm using my brush, just spreading that out. Okay, the shade isn't actually bad. I did a good job this time. It can be really challenging because of the lighting in Sephora, and I don't know, I mean, it makes the products look good on the shelves, but it really doesn't make it easy for you to find out what shade you are unless you want to take your chances with talking to an employee. Now I'm going to take my sponge and just push that into the skin. So straight off the bat, my first impressions are that it seems like a very lightweight foundation. Does not feel cakey, just kind of feels, like I said, light. The coverage is probably, I can see it being buildable, kind of like light to medium. It doesn't feel like a full coverage. I can still see my imperfections, which is fine because I want my skin to look like skin. But if you have a lot of pigmentation, I don't know, I think you'd have to really like layer this one on there. And this one is also kind of a little bit more like the Pat McGrath foundation. Definitely has that skin-like texture. So they're appealing to people who want to wear makeup, but they want their skin to look like skin, like a natural beat, if that makes sense. Now, something else I wanted to notice, this is a very like small detail, but I think it's important for you guys to know. When I was applying the foundation on, I was just looking at it and there was some pilling of the primer that occurred. So it looked like little balls of my foundation were like stuck to my skin. Now I can tell the primer is grabbing onto the foundation, but I don't like that. I don't like the pilling. It makes me nervous because as I'm applying cream products, is more pilling gonna happen? Now to take some of that off, I used this little tweezer set and I just kind of gently pulled it off of my skin so that I wouldn't mess up the application. But something to note, which makes me think that the illuminating primer, I'm not such a big fan of. Where are you? Okay. Now for concealer, an oldie but a goodie, this is the Age Rewind. I didn't really find anything new out there on the concealer market that I really want to try. So I feel like why not use an old friend, Old Faithful, never does me wrong.
You're my best friend, that's it.
You're my best friend.
And I'm just going to apply it to all the normal areas, under the eyes, and also my forehead, down the bridge of my nose, my chin, and right in here, the mustache area. Now I've had this for so long that look, the little applicator, it's dying, it's on its way out, but that's okay. Okay, so I'm gonna take my sponge now and I'm going to wet it with a little bit of the fresh nectar water. And of course, we gotta blend it out. And it always looks so pretty after you blend it out. So for cream products, I'm gonna go with my trusty Fenty. This is espresso. And I go through phases, I put it away, I try something else, but I always end up coming back to it. A little trick, just kind of rub it on your skin, warm it up a little bit, and that way it applies really nice and easy on the skin without skipping and being a little bit rough. But this is going to contour the face, add a little bit more definition, and I'm gonna use my Real Techniques sculpting brush. And sometimes if I'm a little bit concerned about having like a contour helmet, you know, if it's like not that blended out, I just take my sponge, the side that had my foundation on, and I just kind of go back over that and blend it out a little bit more, adds just a hint of color so, you know, it doesn't look too weird. Now, here's my bronzer. This is the Fenty Mocha Mami, my favorite bronzer brush, the Cheek Hugger brush from Fenty. Definitely worth the investment if you're interested in a new bronzer brush. I have to say, so far, I'm really liking the way that this foundation looks. I wasn't too sure about it at first, but it looks really nice, really natural, not too like cakey, you know? All right, now I'm gonna use the Born This Way from Too Faced powder. This is a really great powder because it's gonna set your cream products, but it's not gonna look overly cakey. I'm just going to apply it to the lower half of my face. The shade that I'm using is Translucent Deep, and it has, you know, a little bit of that warmth to it, which I really like, so it adds a little bit more color back into the face. Now, you guys have seen this palette a million times. This is the Natasha Denona Bloom palette. I love the cream blush in here. I love every color in here, and I know a bunch of you guys have tried it before. Honestly, it's one of my favorites. Went on really intense there, don't worry. We're gonna diffuse it out. So sometimes, like now, when I apply too much, I just take my beauty sponge and just take like a clean-ish side and I just go in and diffuse it out. That's what's really nice about having a cream blush. If you're like me and you just don't like too much, then this is perfect because you're gonna be able to diffuse it out a little bit without adding any more powder. Okay. Still looks really nice. Now I'm gonna take the Cream Glow right here on my ring finger and I'm just going to add that in. I'm not going to use one of the powder highlights today because I want to try something different. Now, I did get a new highlight and this one is like really powerful. I don't even know if I'm ready for that because I usually don't go too blinged out on the powder. But this one I got in my BoxyCharm box. This is from Too Faced. It's called the Diamond Light Highlighter and the shade is Canary Diamond. So what I mean when I say that it's bright, can you see that there? It's really iridescent. It's got gold and pink reflex in it. Now I'm gonna take my brush right here and I'm just gonna barely dip into it. It's always better to build up and go slow. But you see, it's got a little bit of that pinkness to it. Now this might be just the right highlight for you if you like iridescence and you want to try something new. I think it goes really nice with this look because of the pink on the eyes. So in a way it matches, you know? Now, you know what's funny? I almost forgot one thing. I was just looking at my eyes and I was like, wow, it still looks really creamy. Did I powder it down? No, I didn't, which is very unusual. I almost never forget. I'm taking my Dermablend Warm Saffron and I'm just powdering that in there. I don't like to put a lot of powder underneath my eyes because they will look dry and aged and cracked like alligator skin. We don't need that. So I am going over some of those areas. Like I said, this powder is great, but a lot comes off on the brush. So really make sure you tap off the excess if you have this. And I'm just slightly going in there. I don't want it to be so matte that it takes away from the beautiful finish of the foundation, but I do want to powder down my oily-ish areas. Okay, so that looks really, really beautiful. On to the lip area. Okay, so for today's lip combo, I'm experimenting. I'm trying a different color. This is from Physicians Formula. It's called Healthy Lip in the shade All Natural Nude. And this I've used many times. It's the LA Girl Eye Pencil in brown. Also serves as a great brown lip liner if you're looking for one. That comes from the drugstore. So I'm just gonna line my lips, bring it in towards the middle, but leave the middle without any color on it. So now it's time for, it's got like a velvety finish, so it's a liquid lip, I guess. So, okay, bring it on there, and I'm gonna be blending it out, so don't worry. I know it's gonna look harsh now. So this is really pretty, but we're not done yet. I always like to take my liner and go over it just a little bit and then press the lips together. And sometimes I go like back and forth, add a little bit of liner, add a little bit of liquid lip until you get like the right concoction. So now I like what I see. All right, so I wanna give you guys my thoughts on the palette, the foundation, the primers. First of all, the palette is beautiful. I think you have to kind of like glam. Like you have to like really vibrant colors. They're also really feminine colors, and I don't know if that's gonna suit a lot of people on the market, because I don't know, if you really like pink, like there are a lot of different shades of pink in here, and I think you're really gonna like it. If you're not into really feminine colors, then maybe you might wanna look elsewhere for other palettes, because I just can't see it like vibing too much. Like, let me show you guys what I mean. This one has got 1, 2, 3, 4 pinks. Now you've also got glitters, and I just don't know if a lot of people are really gonna be using glitters very much. I did enjoy it for this look, but I'm not a major glitter person. Now the blue is stunning. Like, I'm excited to do that, or to use it, to try it. Yeah, I mean, it's got great transition colors. The quality is there. I just think that you really have to like glam and feminine colors to really enjoy this palette. The packaging, super on point, very unique. Now the foundation here, I actually think I did a fantastic job color matching. It looks very natural to my face. It's slightly darker than my chest color, but that's okay. It's barely noticeable. Now let's talk about the coverage. The coverage is great, but keep in mind, I don't have a lot of hyperpigmentation. I do have a little bit right here, so it didn't really cover it. If you have a lot of hyperpigmentation, you might want to look for something that's a little bit more full coverage. It doesn't feel greasy. It doesn't feel like dewy, like really dewy. It just looks like my skin, which is important for me. I like that look on my face, so I'm excited to keep using it and to see how things go. The one thing I did not like was the illuminating primer, because it definitely pilled up, caused my foundation to pill up over it. And I mean, I'm not seeing too big of an illuminating effect on that area. I would rather stick with the Farsali Liquid Glass, because it delivers way more of a like beautiful, vibrant punch to it without making you look greasy. So that would be my suggestion. Of course, the Farsali is a little bit more expensive, but I find that their products really do deliver on their claims. Thank you guys so much for kicking it with me. If you want to hang out with me some more, there are some videos right next to me here. Check them out. If you haven't seen my Best in Beauty series, you definitely want to check that out too. It's got some great product recommendations. As always, I love you guys. Thank you so much for kicking it with me, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.